Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ben, amateur call sign K0BJJ, and you're watching Spotter Jutting Amateur Radio. Today we're going to be talking about net control and how net control from a regular radio net may differ from net control of an Aries net and the reasons for that. If this is why you're here, I hope you enjoy the training video. If not, please check out some of our other channel content where we cover parks on the air, some storm spotting when the weather allows, mainly a lot of parks on the air, and there are some reviews and how-tos also. With that, let's get to your video. Oh, bonus, if anyone could tell me where this shirt comes from in the comments below, bonus to you. I might pin you, depending on how good the comment is. With that, let's get to your video. Alright everyone, first of all, you're going to notice a major difference with the camera angle. I'm on a webcam right now pointing at me, and with it setting, if I'm not looking at you at the camera, I'm looking up at the form, so that way I can tell you, better dictate how things are going. But let's get right into it. First of all, with a regular radio net, you're probably not going to have as much information to log as much information as I have shown on this Aries net control log. You might have, the time that it started, what frequency it's on, and your call sign. So your first line literally could be, okay, if I'm opening it at K0BJJ, I would autofill. This autofills the timestamp, so I'd get that timestamp. But if it didn't autofill at 9:52 a.m., open net on W0WML repeater, and then everyone underneath are your everyone underneath would be the check-ins. I mean, there's really no need for comments or anything beyond that point. Net closes K0BJJ, comment close net on this repeater. So that's for the most part how a regular non-emergency net operates. An Aries net's a little different. We need to know more information. We need to know who, what, when, where, why, and how. And you might be asking why this is important. This is important. There's an old law enforcement, there's an old security saying, if it doesn't get written down, if it's not in the report, it did not happen. So we field operatives rely heavily on their net controls. Deputies and police officers rely heavily on their dispatchers, or I think they're called communications officers now. The terminology changed, but the basic function stays the same. To, during an incident, give them timestamps of what happened when it came across the radio. The job itself has changed, but the basic function is still the same, and we are not 911. We are working in the basic function, though, of those positions. So 911 is expected to know what happened at what time when something goes on. We don't need to be as accurate, but we need to be accurate. So if an incident started up and I was net control, K0BJJ, this auto timestamps, that I got this spreadsheet to do that, so that auto timestamps other I'm also typing one-handed. The reason why I'm putting an example is that everyone on my team has access to this document. So if anyone just happens to look in here right now, they can see that I'm doing an example. So there we go. At 9:54 a.m. I opened a net. Now, everything that comes across this radio traffic pertaining to this net needs to be logged. If you're handwriting, I would say every 10 to 15 minutes you're going to file a timestamp. Now, if I put open net requested check-ins, I might just have a bunch of entries of who's calling in. This is going to auto timestamp, but if it didn't auto timestamp, okay, I requested check-ins at 9:54 a.m. these were the people that checked in. At the end of that, I might put another timestamp so that way we know, okay, that was the end of check-ins. That's important to know. Now, like I said, the reason why this is important is because we're going to rely on this document for our after action report. And that is something that you're going to need to fill out forms for served agencies. Another form you might want to have filled out ahead of time is an incident radio communications plan, or an IC205. In Jasper County, it's known that our primary repeater for ARES is W0WML. We have an emergency frequency of 147.555 simplex. I might need to fill this out because we are adding a secondary repeater, which is the W0, I think it's AIX repeater in Mingo, which I'm hoping will serve as a regional ARES repeater. So I might need to fill one of these out so that way served agencies know, hey, this is where the amateur radio operators are at, and they can listen in if they so desire. And like I've said, the reason why this is important is because when we get to this document, which is my generic AAR, and I'll get to a filled out one here shortly. But after you have your activation, you go to your AAR. Now with my AAR, I copy paste the timeline. So I literally go through, highlight this, everything in here, and paste it right here. The main reason for that, it makes it easier for me not to go between two documents. When I'm writing my narrative for the AAR, I just scroll up. So it's it's kind of a tactical decision by me. That you have your log right there, it just makes it easier. And we reuse this sheet all the time. So there's our actual last activation from 15 December. I haven't deleted it yet. So the first thing I'll do is I'll copy everything over. I'll go to sheet 2 or sheet 3 and paste it. And then I'll clear this out just in case something else happens. I actually do need to clear out sheet 2 for the next time that we need to do that and copy paste over. But you get into your timeline. Timeline is literally the log copy paste. You don't need to have that. Like I said, I do it because I don't want to go back and forth between two documents. Maybe you do, maybe you have a better way to do it. That's awesome. The narrative is the important part. It defines the timeline. So you might have in your timeline important cliff notes. So you might have this person stated tornado on the ground at this location. Your narrative might be this person called in with emergency traffic stating that he had a tornado located at this location heading this direction. So it adds context to your timeline. Your timeline is going to tell you everything you need to know. The narrative adds context to it. I also, on my AARs, add my team members that were participating, the non-team members that were participating. This is filled out with a drill. This template right now has a drill, so I have on this one, if it was for a drill, I write an AAR on all my drills. Who was absent with contact. So if I was running a drill tonight and someone called and said, hey, I can't make it to the drill, or the message, hey, I can't do the drill tonight, I've got something going on, I make a note of that because they made contact. And if they just aren't there, I make a note of that too with no contact. And that helps with our roster tracking, kind of detracting who's dependable, who isn't. From your AAR, you go to the ICS 214 log, which is a FEMA document. This is what your served agencies want to see. It's the cliff notes from your log and from your AAR. This is the important parts. So resources assigned, this is everyone that was involved with your activation. And then what happened? You opened when you opened your net, that's an important part. Let's say you did a welfare check on someone. Say you hadn't heard from someone in a while, you're checking in. At this time, you did a welfare check. This person reported a tree across the road. That is something. That's an important event. You don't put, it's not the detailed, it's the highlights of the activation. And now we'll go over some completed forms. This is all from the December 15th derecho incident in Iowa that dropped more tornadoes in one day in Iowa history than any other event. So we'll leave it at that. So my timeline, my log right there. You can see that's, you know, well, this actually has more than. I received a phone call at 11:38 in the morning to man the radio. So this is my log as I filled it out. My narrative, again, adds context to what is above. And then down here, what I'll add, and I'll skip to the end, I'm not going to get in comments much. Comments, I'm going to scan past them, but I'll explain what they are. You guys don't need to see the comments I listed on that event. But they're the highs and the lows of what happened. If someone excelled, you drop it in a comment. You know, we did really good with this. If something was an issue, say you had people that were willfully, just willfully interfering, and they're part of the team, address it in there. Hey, we need to keep this kind of chatter to a minimum while we're doing the event. If you had people that, stuff like that, that's all stuff in the comments. Equipment issues, if there's any kind of equipment issues, that gets noted in your comments. It's stuff that you can address, so that way you can go about fixing it or improving it. And if there's really good props, I think in my comments that I said that we had extremely good participation. That's something that gets noted. It's the highs, the lows, the things you can fix, and the things that don't need fixing. Just at the end, net control does that. Your Aries management that was present can add to that. So the part I want to get to the point down here is, okay, we had Jasper County Aries team members present. We had, 6 people for the Jasper County Aries check into the net. I have their names, their titles, what position they were in. So we had 2 net control operators, that gets noted behind. We had people that were not in the Jasper County Aries team also check in. And I note them on a separate column. And then I note the different times. So the total time at 911 was 4 hours, 34 minutes. That was the entire time from the net opening to the net closing down. And that's not the time physically on site. That was the time physically on the radio. Total staff hours. So every one of these people, the total hours they were on the net. Total non-staff hours, pretty self-explanatory. All of these people, the time that they were on the net, and then the total time by all operators. So this time plus this time equals this time. That's important to know that, well, that's just important for logistical reasons that you had that. We don't get paid, but I mean, in theory, if you got paid, you're going to need to know your hours. The state organizations typically want to know what your participation is, and they'll want to know how many hours you're doing stuff. So if I can say, hey, I had an Aries opened and I had 60 hours worth of participation, that sounds pretty good. I mean, a 40-hour week is, your normal work week, and in the course of one night, we had 60 hours worth of participation. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Then we'll get over here to the ICS D14 log. Again, this is the way I fill it out. I see some things I could probably improve on this, but take it for what it's worth. We had Skywarn operations 15 December 21. Time from 1500 to 1934. I'm the one filling out the paperwork, so that's my information. Resources assigned was everyone that was there. I put call sign and name for the name. And then ICS position is where they fall in Aries. So I had me, the emergency coordinator, the assistant emergency coordinator was there. I had a certified net control operator. there. I had 3 team members check in, and these were all with the agency, Jasper County Aries. I mean, I put mine a little different because I'm the appointee, so I was Section ARRL, Jasper County Emergency Service. I probably could have put Jasper County Aries and just been fine. After that, after my team members, I listed other people. So we had 2 club members of the Newton Amateur Radio Association. We had one person I had never heard before, but he checked in, and he's an amateur radio operator. I don't have an agency for him because I don't know if he belongs to a club. I had 2 club members, one club member from the Pella Amateur Radio Club, actually their club president. So that's how I listed everything. And then the activity log is the cliff notes of your AAR. The important events. So we opened the net at 15:13 that day. And we didn't do anything for an hour. So we requested check-ins at 16:26, over an hour later. Normally I would not put that in a activity log, but it had been an hour since we had done much, and I wanted to show that we were still trying to make contact to keep things open. I also put in there every time that I updated the area, anyone listening to the repeater, of the warnings coming by. We watch the system track across the state. When the counties directly to the west of us went into warnings, I put that on the repeater so that way people had a heads up. As well as when we went into a warning. So over an hour late after Polk and Warren counties went into a severe thunderstorm warning, finally Jasper did. And then things like, okay, well, Sheriff's Office lost power, we're running on emergency power. If you're watching this from Jasper County, at no point where your 911 system's compromised in any way. The Sheriff's Office has an awesome redundancy system, and they were taking 911 calls and general calls the entire time, even though the front of the house and the Sheriff's Office didn't have power. Their communication systems did. They were operating as if everything was fine. The only difference was I had lights in the office before, and now I don't, and all the systems are running. That was the difference. The lights went off, essentially. And then we get down here, we had some power losses, so I noted that, approximate wind gusts. If we don't have an exact wind recording, we'll put approximate. Power outages in certain areas. That all got reported to 911, which was in the room behind us. And then we closed net at 1934 that night. And that's what I put. 1934 net closed. Total time in 911 was 4 hours, 34 minutes. After going through that, I hope everyone can understand the reason why we need the detailed reports, in net control. We need to have the timestamps and everything. This is important for our partners with our served agencies, whether that be EMA, Sheriff's Department, Fire Department, and police departments, whoever, Red Cross. They want to know what's going on. They want to know in detail what happened. The biggest thing to remember is, yes, we're volunteers, but if you're in the state of Iowa, so are 90% of your fire departments and your EMA or your fire departments and your ambulance services, I expect them to have professional reports. I expect them to know what's going on. I expect them to have training, and they should expect the same from us. The people in the county we serve, the people in the county we're trying to benefit, need to, they deserve to have us trained in proper training, such as net control, storm spotting, whatever. I don't want an untrained firefighter cutting into my car with the jaws of life that he's never handled before and he's never maintained. Just the same, I don't want an untrained EMT putting an IV in my arm when they haven't been certified on it. This area, your county expects the same from you as an Aries net control operator, as an Aries team member, for you to have proper training and you to be prepared to assist them with communications and storm spotting when things arise. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing this series. If you have any comments, please feel free to comment below. And again, anyone who can tell me where this shirt comes from, make it a nice little funny comment and I'll pin you below. Thanks again for watching today's neck control training. If you like this content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we will see you on the next video.